Oh, when she's fingering his porthole.
She fingers when he puts his tongue in the other one.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you that. It wasn't me. It was my character. I don't think that excuse is going to fly in the real world, buddy. Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And
Hold on. Can we do that again? Because I did this stupid. And I did this like stupid 80s sitcom thing. Please no. Please no. Please no. All right.
Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
I'm Mike Field.
And we've returned from the graveyard of podcasts to bring you a 5-episode block of shows as you now enter Forgotten Horror Part 5, A New Beginning. Each episode, we discuss a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Maybe they were being attacked by a creature or chased down by a headless horseman while walking home from a pub. Or perhaps the movie didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run because they were pod people. We'll discuss what we love about the movie or maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. You never know. You might find your own forgotten gem. If you survived the Silver Shamrock Mask promotion, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Our podcast is available on all platforms for your listening displeasure.
What's up?
Nothing.
You got through the tongue twister. I don't think I can remove it now. I can't remove it now.
No.
You got through it. I have to keep it on there.
I was so nervous as I started up to it. I was like, I know it's popping up soon.
What is it again? Survive the Silver Shamrock promotion, right?
Yep.
Silver Shamrock. What's going on?
Nothing. I just I went to go order a plate of fish the other day, and it came out. There's a lot of bones in it.
Yeah.
I just started eating it. I started assembling something. Turns out it was a gun that fires teeth.
Sounds like a
so
movie.
I shot my waiter.
Sounds like a movie we're doing today.
Oh, does it?
It does.
Oh, it was Tuesday
What?
when I shot.
Hey, it's good to be back. All right.
What are we doing?
We're doing the movie eXistenZ. Video game designer Allegra Geller has created a virtual reality game called eXistenZ. After a crazed fan attempts to kill her, Allegra goes on the run with Ted, a young businessman who falls into the role of bodyguard. She actually keeps calling him Pikel. She never calls him Ted.
Yeah, she doesn't call him by his first name.
Yeah. In an attempt to save her game, Allegra implants into Ted's body the video game's pod. Excuse me. You know what? Let me do this all over again. Jesus Christ. Because when I said Geller, I'm like, this is like Friends. All right. Never mind. Video game designer Allegra Geller has created a virtual reality game called eXistenZ. After a crazed fan attempts to kill her, Allegra goes on the run with Ted, a young businessman who falls into the role of bodyguard. In an attempt to save her game, Allegra implants into Ted's body the video game pod that carries a damaged copy of eXistenZ. Allegra and Ted engage in a series of experiences that blur the lines between fantasy and reality. There you go. That's what we're doing.
Whoa.
So I guess I got to do the facts now, right?
Give me the facts.
eXistenZ has a runtime of 97 minutes. It's rated R, production budget of $15 million. It came out in a limited release date, Friday, April 23rd, 1999, also known as one of the best years of cinema. I'll fight anyone that says otherwise. I'm just kidding. Opening weekend was $810,000. Domestic, it did $2.8 million. It didn't have an international release or a big enough one because it's worldwide is the same number, $2.8 million. Production company was the Movie Network, Natural Nylon Telefilm Canada, and Serendipity Point Films. And it was distributed in the U.S. by Dimension Films. It was distributed in Canada by Alliance Atlantis, and Momentum Pictures distributed it in the United Kingdom. No, I said it came out on the 23rd of April. It went up against in a wide release Lost and Found and Pushing Tin. I saw Pushing Tin. I don't remember Lost and Found.
Lost and Found. No, that's a different movie. Yeah, I know Pushing Tin. I don't know Lost and Found.
Limited release was Election. Election I did see, which I liked very much. The Alexander Payne film. The 30th of April, the week after, you had two wide releases of Idle Hands and Entrapment. So Entrapment's all right. Idle Hands is...
I like Idle Hands. But it's like a teenage movie.
That's the thing. I think if I watch it again, or you watch it again, you might not like it as much. It's one of those films I think it kind of... Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. That's Devon Sawa, right?
Yeah, he's the guy with no hand. Seth Green's in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Friend.
The guy who played... Who's his buddy? Is it the guy that plays Froggy in the Daredevil series. Is that him?
No. Is it? Is he old enough to be in that movie?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a good question. Tell us. Find reach Mike at ForgottenCinemaPod.com. Podcast.com. What's our website?
ForgottenCinemaPodcast@gmail.com. That's where you'd reach me.
No, ForgottenCinemaPod@gmail.com is the email, but the website is ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com. Right. Okay. We don't even know our own stuff.
You don't have to tell me anything.
The week before April 16th, you had a wide release of Life and Goodbye Lover and a limited release of SLC Punk and Hideous Kinky. So you don't know any of those films, do you?
I know of
Life.
SLC Punk, but
Life's the Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy.
Oh, the Eddie Murphy. Yep.
Yep.
It's way too long.
It is actually. It's like over 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a long one.
For a comedy, drama. Comedy?
It's a comedy, but it's really a drama as well.
Right. This movie was written and directed by David Cronenberg, and Cronenberg has directed The Dead Zone, A History of Violence, and Eastern Promises. We did Eastern Promises on this show. He's also written, and I think he's directed most of these too, Crimes of the Future, The Fly, Scanners, Crash, and Dead Ringers. Cinematography was Peter Shashitsky. I hope that's how you say your name, sir. I probably it's not right. He did the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Empire Strikes Back, Krull, Mars Attacks, and Immortal Beloved. Composer was Howard Shore. He's nominated for an Oscar for Hugo, but he won for Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and he won 2 Oscars for song and score for Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Edited by Ronald. What's up?
Good scores.
Yes. Edited by Ronald Sanders, who's done Johnny Mnemonic, Coraline, and Friday the 13th, the series. Produced by David Cronenberg, Andres Hamori, and Robert Lantos. Cronenberg has produced Spider, Crash, and Dead Ringers. He produced most of his films. Hamori has done Formula 51 and the TV show Night Heat. And Lantos has done The Sweet Hereafter and Being Julia. You had Jennifer Jason Leigh as Allegra Geller. She was nominated for an Oscar for The Hateful Eight. She's also in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Single White Female, and Dolores Claiborne, to name a few of her movies. She's done obviously in a lot of films and TV. Jude Law as Ted Pikel. I know I said Ted in the opening in terms of his character's name in the synopsis, but he's only called Pikel in this for most of the time.
For the entire.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think until they're in the real world.
Well, let's not blow it
But yeah.
for people.
Spoiler alert. We give spoilers.
We spoil things. Sorry. He's been nominated for 2 Oscars, one for The Talented Mr. Ripley and the other for Cold Mountain. He's also an AI, artificial intelligence. Oh, that's a current topic. And the movie Closer. Ian Holm as Kiri Vinegar, nominated for an Oscar for Chariots of Fire. He's also in Brazil, a movie we did.
Yes.
The Hobbit trilogy. From Hell, another movie we did. And Big Night, which I kind of want to put on our big list. I don't know if I have it there already.
I don't think you do.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe as Gas. He is nominated for 4 Oscars. Can you name the movies? Probably not, right?
No, probably.
Platoon, Shadow of the Vampire, The Florida Project, and At Eternity's Gate. Don McKellar as Yevgeny Nurish, who's in Last Night. I believe he wrote and directed Last Night. Blindness and the Red Violin, Calum Keith Rennie as Hugo Carlaw, who I'm watching the movie and I'm going, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy, and I don't know where I know this guy. And I know this guy from X-Files, I Want to Believe, which we did on Forgotten Takeover, right?
I had the same thing. I was like, this guy, this dude.
He looks familiar. Yeah. He's also in Memento and the TV show Californication. Christopher Eccleston as Seminar Leader. Can you give him a name? He's obviously, I don't know, what number doctor is he? 9?
He's 10.
Damn it. I never get these doctors' numbers right.
Oh, wait. No, he is 9.
Thank you.
You're right. You got
Vindication.
it. You got it.
He's the TV show Doctor Who, Thor, The Dark World, and the movie Shallow Grave, an episode we did for Forgotten Cinema. And then Sarah Polley as Merle. She is nominated for 1 Oscar, away from her, and she also won an Oscar as a writer for Women Talking. That was actually last year's movie, I believe. She's in Dawn of the Dead, and a movie we did, Butler. Pointing to you, figure you know what movie we did with Sarah Polley and Katie Holmes, and you don't. Go.
Let's go. I get that one and the other one that were like the vignettes that we did in the same season confused often.
What, season 5? We did season 5. We did Go.
Yeah.
What was 1141?
Yeah, 1141.
1114.
Yes.
Jesus. That's
2 movies with numbers. So I was like,
yes.
It's the one with the numbers.
Movie with numbers. Okay. I have seen this film before. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm wearing the bone gun. Shoots teeth. I like this shit a lot. Butler has never seen this film, right?
I've seen the last maybe 25, 30 minutes of this film.
As a movie or on like Sci-Fi or
on a movie channel, on like Stars or Showtime or HBO. I remember I was flipping through the channel and I saw this weird movie with, the biological guns and the weird pods, and it had Jude Law. And from what I saw, I was like, must be like some kind of action thriller.
Right.
And so I added this to the list just because for some reason, randomly, from when we're recording this, like a couple months before, I was like, oh man, there was that one movie I saw that one time. And so I've had to look up what it was, and I put it on the list, not knowing it was a Cronenberg film.
All right.
So yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
So here we go. What'd you think? Give me first thoughts.
It's okay.
Oh,
it's okay.
Oh,
it's not the best. There's so much there that I feel like could be done better or expanded upon, that I just don't think the writing is strong. I think there's a good idea there, but I don't think there's a lot of strong writing behind it, which turns into weak acting, which turns into
weak acting.
When they're trying to say this, to say some of this dialogue. Yeah. It's like, I don't think anyone could say some of the dialogue right. Or maybe it's purposely like that. But I don't like when dialogue is purposely bad to be like, or it's just bad because they're in not a real world.
So what specifically are you citing? Like what scenes? Towards the end, the middle?
The very beginning is very stilted. And that's when you're supposed to be able to latch on. We want the audience to care.
Sure.
And there's just so much going on that I don't care about. I don't care that this video game programmer is being assassinated. I don't know why she's being assassinated, because it just seems stupid to assassinate someone who's making video games. And then you're going to have a bumbling kind of fool type character in Pikel, and this kind of she's kind of mean Allegra, and they're just having very stilted dialogue in this truck, talking about stuff we have no idea, not setting up any kind of reason why these things are happening, what they're talking about, why things look like goop monsters. It's just like you're not latching me in right from the start, and then you're not telling me what's going on, and you're purposely hiding behind this facade of very plain dialogue that it just kind of was like, all right, this is where we're at. And I think it doesn't get better from there. It just gets weirder from there, which helps, but I still think there's more that could be done to help expand the story.
Okay. So I know you're not going to like Crimes of the Future, the Cronenberg last movie.
Oh, the one where they just do body modifications?
Yeah, because it's you think this movie's weird? Watch that.
I'm fine with weird movies. I watched Crash. I like Crash quite a bit.
I'm telling you, this movie's that Crimes of the Future is. I'm not saying I don't like Crimes of the Future. It's just really weird.
I'm fine with weird, but I just don't like stilted dialogue, and you've got to explain why things are weird.
So I'm gonna,
unless you go full Lynch.
I'm gonna just disagree with you.
Okay.
Because to harken back to the movie we did last week, the only reason I'm going to compare the two movies is I think that the fact that the budget comes into play here. I think that this movie is very much like an indie film.
Oh, sure. I do agree with that.
So I think that that stuff that you're talking about, the opening scene, I know it's not like the way the scene just starts and he walks in and he has the conversation with the guy, he's wanding him and stuff like that. I understand what you're saying, but I think I give it more of a benefit of the doubt because I'm like, this feels indie. And I know I'm an apologist for indie films, so I get that. I mean, I can't, that's a negative if you want to say that's a negative. I'm okay with that. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, but I will, you brought it up and I want to talk about it a little bit, was the Allegra character. So let's talk about character.
Sure.
When we first meet Allegra and she comes up and she does that sheepish wave, which I can't stand because people do that in real life and it's complete BS. Was Pikel talks to the seminar leader's character, right? Is it Pikel? And he asks about her and he tells him that, oh, she's really shy. She would rather just be in her video games. Yeah. Okay. But the whole movie, she doesn't act shy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. She's not shy at all.
Like you said, she's rough and she's aggressive. Now I don't know if, again, we spoil things. I don't know if that's all, like, we just have to take that under consideration because they're playing a game inside of a game. You know what I mean? So sure. I don't know if that's really just because at the end of the movie, the Yevgeny character says, like, I'm not really comfortable with the anti-video game theme inside the movie. That inside the video game they had just played. That wasn't from me. I don't know who that was from. Right. Blah blah blah. I thought that I don't like. They don't explain the game enough to understand that people's opinions and thoughts and who they are and what they believe can affect the game you're playing.
Sure.
Like they never really talk about like, because Pikel's like, what's the point of this game? How to win? And Allegra tells him, oh, you'll know.
Figure it out as you go.
But
yeah.
all I'm thinking is, well, it's obviously some kind of set of game. If characters are supposed to say something in this game, then
They've
clearly,
been written, yeah.
Right. So but they never really say that it's pulled from you. Like the game is pulled from you and your thoughts and your beliefs. So if that's the case, then my question is, why is it pulled from the Pikel and Allegra characters? Why is it not pulled from anyone else in the movie?
Sure.
Why are they the leads? Like stuff like that. Like there's not a lot of explanation in terms of that character development and character building. So I agree with you there. It's a little kind of just up in the air. Like, hey, you know, like we'll get to the end.
Right.
I think that, but I think two things. One, I think it's because it's almost a movie that is ahead of its time. Like I think this film probably needed more seasoning. Like if Cronenberg didn't want to do this film and he was like, I'm not ready for this movie, wait 10, 15 years. I think you're seeing a much different movie, maybe a much more polished film, a film that really has more to say because of just the advancements of video games.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that, but I like that it's ahead of its time. I like movies that just kind of like you watch it and you're just like, this feels like Inception. This, like they are playing a game within a game within a game. And it's very Inception like. You know what I mean? Like, and they did this way before Inception. So I like stuff like that. That it's kind of like, wow, I can't, you know, did Christopher Nolan watch this? Did he see this? Did he like get any kind of like, you know, inspiration for this film? Stuff like that. And we've talked about Cronenberg before on the Eastern Promises episode. Sure. And I remember me saying that Cronenberg is extremely underrated as a director. And maybe here, like I said, the script needed more seasoning, but I still think it's strong in terms of the movie in and of itself. I mean, anything I'm saying makes sense, or is it just kind of like, am I talking out of my butt?
I think that some of what you're saying is correct. I think that going back,
be correct, just makes sense.
Going back to what you said originally about the writing and being an indie, it's excusable. The writing should be strong in an indie. I disagree with that. That if you don't have a budget, your writing and your dialogue should at least be really, really good.
Right.
And I don't think he can do that. I think Cronenberg's a great director. I don't think he's necessarily a great writer. Okay. I think he's got great ideas, but I think he needs to work with a writing partner. Because I do agree with you. I think the ideas in this movie are solid and ahead of their time, almost stupidly so. To where, like, if you're watching this in 1999, you'd be like, really? You're going to assassinate because of that? But now you look at VR and the rise of AI, and, you know, I can absolutely believe that now, putting, you know, AI into these pods so they feed your emotions and they write their own story based on your opinions. Right. I could absolutely see that.
I mean, they're pretty much playing a VR game.
Yeah. They're jacking into the Matrix.
It's just a super good VR game.
Well, it's like the Matrix. Yeah. Even to the point of they're putting something, but they're
in the spine,
which
I think is interesting. I don't buy not to cut you off, but I don't buy when Pikel says, why is it really safe to have a hole in my body? And she opens up her mouth, Pikel, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't buy that.
I thought that was so stupid.
Because I don't buy that. Like, oh no, of course, because the mouth, the nose, the ears, they have defenses for bacteria and stuff to get in there.
They were biologically evolved to be holes.
Right. Yeah. That's not like, no, that's not. I mean, but again, it's a game, so whatever. But exactly.
Meanwhile, he's getting one blasted into him by this mechanic in a garage.
Yeah, I know.
Like you said, like the video game stuff is interesting. You know, fighting against the real world is absolutely something. In 1999, I don't think that was an issue with my PlayStation 1. Playing Crash Bandicoot. But in 2023, and probably, by definitely 2030, I think this would be an actual, this is possibly what could happen.
Right.
This is where we're headed.
I mean, I don't know if I really want gross pods stuck in my a hole in my spine.
That was another big thing with me, was like the pods, and like they kind of explain it like 45 minutes into the movie.
Right.
Like, why aren't you explaining why these things, even his phone is biological? Can you explain to me why we're doing things that are fleshy?
I think it's just Cronenberg's thing.
But no, they kind of explain that the amphibians have organs in them, it's found, that are kind of kind of like psychic connections, like mind connections if you use them. So that's why the pods are basically amphibians. So they kind of explain it. And then you find out toward the end of the movie that it's all just BS because it's an actual video game system.
They're playing like with these like plastic head things.
Plastic headgear.
Yeah,
it's more real.
Legit. Oh, well, not legit, but more like based in reality.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I get that, but I also get, obviously it's pods, it's Cronenberg, but you've got to explain it. You know, you can be gross, but it's got to have some kind of explanation.
Right.
Which again, they do later on. But there's stuff I do like in this movie. You know, I think that just takes a hit and why it's okay. I didn't say it was bad.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the design, the pods are really good. I like that, you know, Allegra, even though I think she's mean and a little like just too rough, I do like her obsession over the pods. And I think the way she plays that is really good. And I love the note that she requested a pod stay with her at all
Jennifer
times.
Jason Leigh,
so
yes.
she really kind of got that real connection to it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
You know, I love the scene with Gus in the gas station. You know, we can't just I called him Gus. Yeah, with gas. We can't just go to the local country gas station and get a thing. And the next shot says country gas station. And then here's the gas. That's your first hint that I don't think we're in the real world.
You know what? I forgot about the ending. I totally forgot about that
forgot about the end to end as well, the real world stuff. But as soon as that happened, I was like, I don't think this is. I remember them going in and out of different realities. So I'm like, I don't think this is the real one right here.
But they never really go like to speak to that. They do the little thing where they jack in to the big pods and they go and they show up in the store and they buy these little mini pods. They jack into the mini pods, but they don't go anywhere. I don't get what game they're playing in the mini pods.
When they go to the mini pods, that's when they go to the amphibian. Butchers.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay, you're right.
But then somehow they got the amphibian pods, then doing the amphibian storyline, but they can just walk to the shop they were in the first one.
Right.
That's a little confusing.
Yeah, I kind of got turned around a little bit there with all that stuff.
I do love the NPC stuff though. I thought that was really well done. You know, they don't call it an NPC because back then no one knew what an NPC was.
Right.
But which is a non-player character for anyone who doesn't know. the characters in video games that you don't play as who give you dialogue. I love that, you know, when he starts asking him questions that he can't possibly know, that he's just like.
But then she does that too. Allegra does that for 1 second.
And they never solve it.
I didn't understand.
I was like, oh snap, she's not the real Allegra. But then she was.
Then she is.
Allegra.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
That's more reasons why it's just okay. They don't really go into that kind of stuff.
Well, there's a lot of things that are just kind of. They kind of let them. They sit there. They don't really fully explain them, and you're just left wondering, like, what's happening? I don't understand why.
Kira, he sabotaged me because he's working for this company. I don't know who that company is.
There's a lot of double cross. There's a lot of double cross, and like nobody can be trusted. Like legit, nobody can be trusted. Right. And you're just like, I don't know what to believe anymore. In terms of like who's on whose side. You know, he never gets a bioport that works. One doesn't work, or one affects the pod.
You fried the pod because you were nervous. I wasn't nervous.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
You know, she jumps to that conclusion. And then the other thing was she talks about how I need someone who's a friend to play with the pod. Pike, are you a friend? The pod is crying out. It's crying out. It's like you just jacked into the pod. You know, you were just using it. Wouldn't you know?
Right.
She goes, I need to know if the pod's crying out. I need to know what's wrong. You were just with the pod. The pod didn't tell you?
Yeah.
So I didn't get that. So there was stuff like that I was just like, I don't know what's happening here. Like there was some confusing stuff like that.
I need a friend in here, but you could just play the game on your own also. I don't know why you needed a partner. Wouldn't you want somebody outside to be able to unjack you in if the pod is infected? Because you already explained at the beginning that if the pod is infected, it can infect you.
Yeah, they jack into that pod, that infected pod, for some unknown reason. But they jack.
It's a sexual thing.
But they jack into that pod with. Oh, you're right. They're already in that. That's
the mini pod reality.
Yeah. Oh my god, like pod
that's
in
the
the
third
pod in the
reality.
pod. Yeah.
But yeah, it's that comes out of nowhere too. That's very just randomly sexual. Like I need this in me. I don't care that it's got an STD. I was like, where is this? I know it was already kind of overtly sexual, but like this is like obsessive.
Yeah. Well,
this is Crash level sexual.
Oh, when she's fingering his porthole.
She fingers when he puts his tongue in the other one.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you to do that. It wasn't me. It was my character. I don't think that excuse is going to fly in the real world, buddy. But her need to jack into this disgusting dying pod is just like, this is another movie now. This is just there's a difference between Cronenberg and David Lynch. And I do like both of them, but it's like, sometimes he goes weird, like Videodrome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very strange, but there's always a reason for it. There's always an explanation.
You're talking about Lynch or Cronenberg.
Right. For like Videodrome and Crash. There's always a reason. There's always a through line. There's always something. It's not like Lynch where he just does stuff. to give you a reaction.
I think Lynch does stuff because that's him. That's his way.
But when Cronenberg does stuff like that in this movie,
he's trying to tell a story. Part of it, yeah.
He should be trying to tell a story, but I feel like he's not. Or
really?
There's stuff on the cutting room floor.
In this movie.
There's,
right.
like I feel like I might like this better. Obviously, we always talk about liking a short movie, and it's nice as an hour and 37, but I might like this better if it was 2 hours. I want to know more about Allegra and why she's so weird in general. I get that this version of Allegra is all a video game.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, about that. This is my problem a lot of times with alternate reality movies and shows when they're not really those people. You know what I mean? You find out they're jacked in, they're somebody else.
Sure.
Like, are we supposed to be okay with or forgive these issues that we're talking about because they're in a video game and it doesn't make sense?
See,
like, I don't understand. I know, I get that.
Right.
But that's always my feeling. Like, really, can I really hold that against them? That's not their character. That's not them.
Let me ask you this. Because it's 1999 and back then, obviously video games, like maybe you had the first Resident Evil game had come out. That's got a good story.
Is that 99?
It might have been 97, the first Resident Evil.
Okay.
And maybe a couple of the Final Fantasy games. You don't have stuff with story in video games very often. Do you think that's an excuse that they used because you don't have games like Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto today?
Unless, I don't know, because they never say it, so I don't know.
Like you don't have to have a good story because it's a video game.
Yeah.
Whereas today, cinema writers are writing video games.
If they said that in the movie, okay, we can make a case for that. If you don't say it, and I don't see it in any of the notes, because a lot of this stuff is not. Surprisingly, the inspiration for this game is not notes. It's not video games. So I think it's just a device they use to kind of tell that story. Cronenberg talks about how he claims the inspiration for this is the fatwa that was declared on author Salman Rushdie.
I saw that, which obviously makes sense because of the beginning with Allegra Must Die.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I mean, I don't know why until they turned to video games. Maybe he's a big video game player. I mean, he's in the Star Trek series, so he must love sci-fi.
He likes Star Trek.
Yeah, so that's probably, maybe that's part of it. So when they're in the motel room, I'm gonna get to the motel in a second. In the beginning, they have that fast food bag that says Perky Pat, and that's supposed to reference the novel The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch by Philip K. Dick. And that movie has that book has themes about nested reality and alienation from, that the movie takes, and that in the book, the false reality is not a video game, but drugs you take called like candy and choosy and stuff like that. Right. So they're saying that there's some reference that's where some of the movie comes from as well. Sure. So maybe instead of using drugs, they use the video games. Again, I don't know the video game aspect, where that's coming from. But that motel, I knew that motel looked familiar. Do you know what it is?
No, what's that motel?
So when they do the outside of the motel, I don't know if you've ever seen this TV show. I'm looking at it going, that's the motel from Schitt's Creek. That has to be the motel from Schitt's Creek. And
I did know that it was the motel.
I'm like, obviously it's shot in Canada.
I never saw Schitt's Creek.
Well, number one, get to that because that's fantastic. And in fact,
Elise loves it.
I kind of want to rewatch it. But like I knew it was the motel, and I'm like, that's the goddamn motel. I know it. So it is. Apologies for swearing. But yeah, so another note I had.
Another note
about Jennifer Jason Leigh was that the reason why she's not in Eyes Wide Shut, even though she shot her scenes, was because she was doing this
back
movie.
To the reshoots.
Right. So she finished Eyes Wide Shut, and much like Kubrick in a lot of his movies, he wanted to call her back for reshoots, and she was like, no, I'm doing this film. And so basically he recasted her. I don't know who he recast in her role.
Should have stayed in Eyes Wide Shut.
No, I think this is a better movie for her. She's a lead in this. Eyes Wide Shut.
True. She would have been a bit part.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think she had already, at that point, she already kind of cemented herself as he
was like, fine, I'll get Nicole Kidman.
I don't think it was Nicole Kidman. I know.
I don't know what part she would have played. It would have been a bit part. It would have been one of the rich people in the club.
I can't even remember Eyes Wide Shut.
That's why I'm just saying the rich people.
I remember the ding, 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 ding. I remember that. That's all I remember.
Oh, so I want to know about the gun. What was the inspiration for the gun? And I couldn't find a note on that. The gun is
the gun that I'm wearing on my shirt.
It's in the quote unquote real world, which is the first world they're in is called eXistenZ, and the next one's Transcendence, right?
Transcendence.
Yeah.
Made by pilgrimage.
So in the
yes.
So in eXistenZ.
Well, no, in Transcendence. In the beginning of the movie, when they walk in, the guy sneaks the gun into his pod.
Right.
because there's no metal. He
just sneaks in and it fires teeth.
Right.
And then the other world also has this gun.
Right. And I think that's just the idea that we were talking before about how it's pulling from other memories and existence. Yeah, I think that's just where that's from. I mean, we talked about the scene off air about how he has to put the gun together and he's eating
all the fish.
He's eating that big plate.
I want to know what the fish was made of.
That big plate of fish guts or whatever looked and reminded me of the big giant plate of potatoes and stuff that Sloth eats in the Goonies.
Well, it's amphibians and it's the lizard they see at the beginning of the movie all cut up.
Yeah, yes.
They catch it and cut it up.
That should have been that should have been our first clue that this is not real, because this two-headed thing pops up and I'm like, what?
Oh, absolutely. That's a country gas station, gas, and then the lizard. And
yeah, I did, but then I didn't remember a lot. So I'm thinking like, is the world like there's just mutations everywhere?
She does talk about that later on when they go to the ski lodge. She goes, ever since the mutations started.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. Because at first I was like, aliens, mutations, you got to tell us. You got to say a throwaway line at least. And they do have that throwaway
What's going on there? Yeah.
It's mutations happen. Ever since the mutations.
And then Pikel has to eat whatever he's eating, the gross. I was like, why are you eating it? Just freaking dump it out. Like,
just
clean it out.
Pick it, yeah.
And then he takes
his character wants it.
He takes his teeth out to load the gun.
Yep.
I mean, the gun's fantastic. I love the gun. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt for it.
Wishbone is the trigger.
Yeah. And it's just, do you have a bridge? Did you have a bridge exist before? No.
My teeth are perfect.
Yeah.
I hate that line.
I didn't understand that. Like, why does that matter?
No, my teeth are perfect. And then he winks at her.
Does he wink?
No. That's what should have happened after you say that comment, though.
Did you catch the differences in their hairstyles between the different realities?
So in eXistenZ, they're partly curly. And her hair is partly curly. Pikel just has flat, boring hair.
No, in when they're in the opening,
what's the quote unquote real world?
The real world is when they get into eXistenZ.
Oh, eXistenZ. So in
eXistenZ,
she has partly curly hair,
and his hair is flat. When they go into eXistenZ,
she's got really curly hair.
His hair is up,
and his hair is all more, typical Jude Law-y, kind of like
movie
up
star.
And, yeah. And then his hair's partly up in the real world. And her hair is perfectly straight,
right?
In what we're pretty sure is.
And their dog is a terrorist.
So wolfhound, who they don't bring with them at the end. They're just walking out.
I think the dog was just to bring the guns.
Just found this Irish wolfhound just randomly. Those are animals you just see walking around all the time.
Thanks for holding our dog. This movie obviously did not do well when it was released, and part of that was but Dimension Films gave this movie a limited release in the United States, didn't put a lot of publicity behind it, so they really just didn't believe in it, or they didn't want to they felt it wasn't going to do well, so they didn't want it. But before, this movie was with MGM, and Cronenberg left that because he wanted to cast Jennifer Jason Leigh, and some exec said to him that Jennifer Jason Leigh was associated with quote little art movies that don't make money. I mean, it obviously doesn't help, but she's better. She's a really good actress.
There's this movie, but not a little art movie that doesn't make money.
But that doesn't make any sense because Dolores Claiborne came out before this film.
Sure.
And that was like a big Stephen King movie. That movie's fantastic. And Single White Female came out before this film.
She's 37 when we did this. Yeah. She's already, most of her filmography of big movies is already done. So she's already proven herself.
Yeah. So that exec was kind of, talking out of his butt.
Oh, absolutely.
As we all do, I guess. Did you notice the reason why eXistenZ is the way it looks? Did you understand that?
I read the note about it.
The Hungarian producers, and the X and the Z are capitalized, and in between is Isten, Isten, and that's supposed to mean God in Hungarian.
Right.
So, the two producers of the film are Hungarian. Kiri Vinegar is supposed to be Hungarian in the movie. So I guess that's where that's from. I mean, I don't know if that. I'd have to see Cronenberg say like, yeah, that's why we did that. I don't know, but maybe. I mean, it seems plausible.
Also, it seems plausible as hey, it's the 90s, and that's just
what's wrong with the 90s.
That just seems awesome to make the two letters big. I could see Cronenberg knowing that though. That's something I think I could see Cronenberg putting into his movie. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let me give you a let me give you a critique. I didn't have a lot. So I only got one for you here.
Okay.
Sorry. It's James Biradanelli. He says that the film has a, quote, disjointed feel and called it a missed opportunity that suffered from being released near The Matrix and Open Your Eyes, which he states did similar things that were accomplished better in those films. I don't remember Open Your Eyes.
I don't either.
I do remember The Matrix, little old film.
That's the Keanu Reeves one?
Yeah, that came out in March of 99, right? This movie came out in April.
Yeah, it was March. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knew it was going to be as big as it was.
God, no. No, God, no. But I mean, The Matrix, it's tough to compare The Matrix with this film because The Matrix is just such a different film.
Sure,
it's alternate reality and all that stuff, but it's an action film.
Was that the end of his quote?
That was it.
Oh, I mean, listen, I've got my own issues with this film, but I don't think it being disjointed is one of them. I think that's part of, you're supposed to feel disjointed because they're in a world. It should feel disjointed. My problem is that there's no cohesiveness to the story and the plot.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I talked about Inception. I talked about how this felt very Inception. Inception does that very well in terms of
being able to follow
that cohesiveness and understanding what's happening and just kind of like it's an expo dump, obviously, but they talk to you about how they need to trigger it to jump from one to jump to the other. This will jump from this. This will get us to this. Yeah, so I get that.
But they also go in Inception. They go into why Leo's the way he is, Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And in this, I think something similar should be done with Allegra. And Ted Pikel just kind of sucks.
But then you run the risk of revealing. I mean, because it's a twist at the end. You run the risk of revealing that. And I think, well, no, because Allegra, I'm talking about, I want to know more the backstory of the Allegra that we think we know. The game's Allegra, the game designer. Right.
Because even a poorly written video game would give us throwaway line about why she's the way she is.
I can't wait for you to play my game. And the only copy is on my pod because I don't put it anywhere else.
I didn't copy it anywhere else because I'm a big dumb dummy.
Yeah. When Vinegar tells her that he copied her game from the pod, I'm like, how? Like, where is there a USB port? Like, I want to see, like, how did you copy this game? Like, I want to see it.
Like, what organ did you use?
Yeah.
It's in an organ.
They just keep showing guts and blood and they're cutting through things. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, where is the information? Like I was just
don't explain it. Yeah. I do love the amphibian factory, all the different like fake amphibians they're chopping up. I thought that was really well done. That was like really well, whoever the prop maker was.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's good. That's cool.
It was gross.
And then when he knows what he's doing, he's just all of a sudden chopping the head off, splying it open, taking the specific organs out, bagging them up and putting like, what did he put the number 7 on it?
You put LA.
LA, that's right.
Yeah. I don't know if that's supposed to go to LA. I don't know what the hell happens there.
I have no idea.
Who friggin' knows? So I guess why are we saying this is forgotten?
I think like that reviewer said, The Matrix just came out right after that. Now we have Inception. I think that the movie is, it's 24 years old now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jude Law is not maybe like, doesn't have the star power he used to. Jennifer Jason Leigh certainly doesn't. And I think that's, I think that for younger generations to come watch it, millennials, I was 12 when this originally came out. Sure. I was probably 13 or 14 when I saw it on HBO. If you didn't catch it on TV, just swiping through the channels, which it probably wasn't on for that long, you're not going to go back and see it because it's kind of buried. When you talk about Cronenberg, I don't think too many people are talking about eXistenZ. I think people are more talking about obviously they're talking about Videodrome, the history of violence.
Well, they're probably talking more about history of violence.
Eastern Promises.
Yeah.
The Fly obviously is a classic.
And to your point about, sorry to cut you off, but to your point about history of violence and Eastern Promises, which are probably, I would say they're probably
more accessible.
Well, it's also 2 of his more better films. Like if you were giving a top 5 thing, they'd be up there. He didn't write those. So to your point about I'm giving you credit.
And then Crash, I had to watch Crash in film school actually.
Crash. I was talking with somebody today about Crash, about the scene where he has fornicates with the scar.
Oh yeah.
God, I remember that scene. I'm just like, ugh.
So like I think that those, like in terms of weirdness, I think Crash is what wins in. Obviously, Videodrome's very weird too in his first one. So I think if you're talking about Cronenberg, like you said, it's not going to be in your top 5. I think I just named 5 other films to begin with. So I think that hurts it. I think that the fact that this movie didn't do very well, and I think that the themes are it's just not. It's got some cool stuff, but it's not super well put together. So it's hard to recommend this to somebody. It's like, hey, watch this. It's cool bone gun. It's got these weird pods. but it's really trippy, and you're gonna have a lot of questions, and you're gonna be frustrated by a lot of it. It's a hard sell for anybody who doesn't really like film, and even then, I'd be hard to tell people to watch this.
He also, when I mentioned this in the credits, Cronenberg also directed The Dead Zone, which I really like. So just throw that out there too.
The Dead Zone is very good.
Yes. Okay.
That's written by Stephen King.
I agree with you. I think we talked about this. We always talk about this on the podcast. The fact that, I miss video stores, you miss video stores.
Mhm.
I think that Cronenberg's movies would do well in a video store environment where you're walking around looking for a movie to watch, and maybe Cronenberg, they have an end cap for him, but like, that's where people can find his movies. I think that's where you discover Cronenberg, those type of in a video store like that.
Sure.
You really can't discover anything on streaming or in any of those algorithmic laced carousels when you're on there. So it's really difficult to discover somebody like David Cronenberg and his work.
Absolutely.
So I think he gets kind of a disservice in terms of new audience, new people, young people discovering who he is. I would definitely recommend this to writers. I would definitely recommend this to filmmakers, people who love movies, people who like horror films, or who maybe have this. You have to feel them out. Maybe have the same sensibilities.
Sure.
I mean, I think somebody asked me what I was watching, and I said, I watched this movie eXistenZ, and I was explaining it, and they were just like, I'm like, yeah, but you should watch it. Like, I almost want to recommend I recommend this movie to people because I just want them to watch something different.
To have the reaction.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like it's almost like we almost have to be on a mission, Butler, to recommend some of these movies to people and be like, get out of your
Comfort
white
zone.
bread cookie cutter movies that you like all the time and watch something that's just strange and weird, and you don't have to like it, but get to the end. It's only 97 minutes.
True.
But like, get to it and be affected in some way by it, because like I still think about the movie after watching it.
Absolutely. Me too. Like, the gross gun, the pod, some of the reactions, like the acting.
Yeah. There's like, because it's not because they don't show this in any other movie. It's not because of that, but it's because it makes you think, and it kind of has a visceral reaction to you. When you talked about the amphibian warehouse, I'm thinking about when he's holding that big rubbery slimy thing and he's cutting it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, it's like, but I'm like, I can't stop thinking about it. So I think that these are the type of films, like Cronenberg is the type of director, filmmaker, when he does like Cronenberg films, like, Crimes of the Future, Scanners, Videodrome, stuff like that. Yeah. When he does those movies where you're just like, you need to see it because you need to experience it. That's where I am on that. And I definitely still like this movie, obviously more than you do. Not saying you hate it, but I definitely reacted to it better, or differently, excuse me.
I think it's ripe for, like you said, like a reboot or remake.
I think it's ahead of its time. Yeah.
If it's done well, you'd have to have a Cronenberg sense of mentality going into it.
Well, what's funny about that is this movie is originally called Crimes of the Future in Canada when it came out, and they changed it.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that, and if you ever see Crimes of the Future, you'll be like, oh yeah, I can definitely see, like, it's almost like it's just Cronenberg and the way he is and the way he thinks and what he is trying to say. And there's definitely touches of what he's talking about in eXistenZ that carry over to Crimes of the Future. Crimes of the Future is way more weird and way more body dysmorphia stuff and way more like people doing odd stuff. And it's like, it's an experience. I remember watching it and I'm just like, oh boy. but I guess I'm weird like that. I'm fine with it. It's just odd. And I really love telling people what I watch sometimes. It's just like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I'm Butler. Where can they find us?
You can find us on YouTube. That's right. We're on YouTube now, for real on YouTube. Not just a title card with the podcast playing behind it. You're seeing me right now. We're having like a moment. You're looking at me in the eyes, or you're looking down because I'm making you uncomfortable. One of the two things are happening. So go ahead, give us a like, subscribe. I know we're supposed to do that way earlier in the videos for the channel. But,
right.
We didn't. We're telling you now. To at the end, we don't waste your time with that bull. But now we're saying it. Please like and subscribe. It really helps.
Unless you drop the really bug there.
I'll definitely drop like a bing, bing, bing.
Nice.
But this is the first time I'm telling you. So please like and subscribe. It doesn't hurt you. We'll pop up on your little feed. Don't watch us if you don't want to, but we'll still pop up. But please watch us. we got 3 more episodes of horror to show you, and also we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff.
And you know what I forgot to do last week was
What
say
you
like
forgot to do?
what because join us next week when I tell you when I and
Oh,
I-
you did.
but I don't know if I should. I like not telling people like they
We
should.
got 3. Well, then they have to watch the movie to prepare to listen because we're
Oh, that's right. That's why we used to do that. Man. All
We're
right.
still
so-
getting into it, but we got 3 more weeks to get better.
So join us next week. We're going to be doing the Tim Burton film Sleepy Hollow. That's next week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be doing that next week. So if you want to watch that ahead of time so you can find out what we're talking about. Sorry, I didn't remind everyone last week we were watching eXistenZ this week. Oops. But until then, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Wait, Forgotten Horror.
Keep it spooky, yo.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching the show.
Yeah, if you like what you saw, check out all the other videos we have. They should be there. Maybe there. I don't know. They could be anywhere, but check out all those other videos. Like and subscribe, like we say in the show. It really helps out. And we hope you like what you saw. If you're just watching this while October's still going on, keep it spooky. And if October's over, you can still keep it spooky. Don't listen to what anyone else says. That Christmas stuff is out way too early.
Bye, guys.